President Trump has resorted to basically just wiring himself money from the U.S. government. No, I'm not exaggerating. This is the end game of the Supreme Court's decision that the president can't commit a crime. Just how does this end up? Well, I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about it. Okay, so this is a absolutely insane story that dropped. Trump is just asking the Department of Justice for $230 million. That's $250 million for you keeping track at home, for claims involving past criminal cases against him. Now, I want to be clear. If the government charges you or, brings you to trial for a crime, if you are exonerated, if you're exonerated after conviction, you can sometimes get a payout. But if you're found not guilty, your payout is that the justice system worked. You aren't simply allowed to just get paid by the government because they lost at trial. But if you're President Trump, apparently he thinks that that's somehow valid. President Trump and his legal team, his private lawyers, this sounds really confusing because it barely makes sense. So think about it like this. You have the President of the United States, who is Donald Trump, and then over here you have Donald Trump, private citizen and head of the Trump organization. So, and private citizen Trump hired a bunch of lawyers for his defense team. They were just private attorneys. Now, those same private attorneys are working for the Department of Justice under President Trump. So, however, President Trump is saying that he wants the Department of Justice to pay Citizen Trump $230 million to settle two federal damage claims that Citizen Trump has filed against the Department of Justice, controlled by President Trump. Now, these claims are absolutely absurd. No one, again, if you beat some charges, you don't get to sue the government for your legal bills. The government doesn't pay your legal bills. But he's suing them, right? Because you can sue anyone over anything. And he's suing them over investigations into him during both his first administration and during the Biden administration, which is insane because he's suing them. He's suing his own Department of Justice that he controlled and the Biden administration. This is over the fact that Trump was investigated first by a special counsel investigation in the FBI regarding his relationships to Russia during the 2016 election, which I want to be clear, they found that there were extensive ties between the Trump administration and Russia. They found that Russia actively assisted the Trump team and that the Trump team was happy to receive that help. And they also found that the Trump team systematically obstructed justice, right? What they were not able to find, probably because of the obstruction, was the actual quid pro quo between the Trump administration and Russia, right? Now, if you've ever dealt with any level of shady business dealing, you know that the one thing you don't do is write down, if you do this, I will do that. That's collusion. But if two businesses just happen to watch each other's prices and make sure they never undercut the other, why, that's just good competition. So that's essentially, so I want to be clear because Trump continually refers to the Russia hoax as though it were some sort of fake thing. It is not. It is real, it is substantiated, and it did not rise to the level of a crime. But as the Supreme Court found, even if it did, President Trump is unable to commit a crime because he is president. And so the absurdity, right, by the way, worth noting, is that the other thing that President Trump calls a baseless hoax is the Epstein files. So if you think Trump has a strong relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, more than he's letting on, he's using the same playbook that he used around Russia, something else he says that is a total hoax, total fake, totally made up. So Trump, not only that, is saying, well, you owe me because I had to hire lawyers to obstruct justice in that investigation. The second claim, Trump says, is that the FBI was mean to me when they found that I held classified documents, I retained classified documents after I left the White House. Now, I want to be clear that the Supreme Court, again, found that because the president is the originator of the classification system, the president can declassify a document just by thinking it, right? And though, if you think it is bad that, for example, his former National Security Advisor, John Bolton, retained classified information in his home, then by definition, it is also bad that Trump did the same. And these documents, by the way, stored in a bathroom, not secure. And again, it's not about was it technically legal. Again, it was illegal literally until it went to the Supreme Court, where they declared, no, actually, the president can do whatever he wants. So none of these have any basis in reality. But Trump, private citizen Trump, is still suing the Justice Department, controlled by President Trump, for, again, $250 million taxpayer dollars. For those of you keeping score at home, remember, we've still gone something like 45 days almost a month now with no shutdown, no relief and payments for federal workers, federal contractors. And of course, on the first of the month, SNAP benefits are going to go out and healthcare premiums are going to skyrocket, and the national debt has never been higher. But don't worry, guys, that $250 million needs to line Trump's pockets. Now, here's what's hilarious. According to the manual of the Justice Department, any settlement of claims like this would have to be approved by the Deputy Attorney General or the Associate Attorney General. Well, it just so happens Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, was one of the criminal defense attorneys who stands to get paid from this settlement. Stanley Woodward, Associate Attorney General, was actually a co-defendant, was also a defense attorney in the classified documents case. So they control the Justice Department funds that would then pay themselves and President Trump, right? And one DC attorney said there is such a thing as restitution in criminal cases, but that's for the victims of crimes, not for those who were investigated for committing them. Right? He also adds, it's hard to imagine how in these two cases you get to $230 million in legal fees. Dufford added, I could see tens of millions, but definitely not in the hundreds of millions. So you're talking about a 10x multiple probably on what Trump has spent on this. So again, even the president acknowledges this is pretty corrupt. He said, quote, I have a lawsuit that was doing very well. It wasn't. And when I became president, I said, oh, I'm sort of suing myself. I don't know. How do you settle the lawsuit? I'll say, give me X dollars, and I don't know what to do with the lawsuit, Trump said in reference to the claims, although administrative claims are not lawsuits. He continued, it looks sort of bad. I'm suing myself, right? When asked by reporters about the settlement, Trump said the federal government, quote, they probably owe me a lot of money for those investigations, later adding that he would donate any compensation. He continued, quote, I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that they owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. Right? A spokesman for the legal team said President Trump continues to fight back against Democrat-led witch hunts, which again, the 2016 Russia investigation was not a Democrat-led witch hunt. It was in Trump's Department of Justice, authorized by a Congress that Trump controlled. So, again, and once again, according to Trump, it found that he was totally exonerated. So I don't know why he's so mad about it. So, like, the funny thing is, the Justice Department said in any circumstance, all officials of the Department of Justice follow the guidance of career ethics officials who are currently furloughed and not getting paid. So, again, oh, and in July, Pam Bondi fired the Justice Department's ethics official. It's so bad, in fact, that even some of Trump's allies, Senator Tom Tillis, for example, said he has concerns about President Trump's odd bid to get $230 million from the Justice Department. Now, this is exactly what I would expect. He continued, unless it's something that's done in the normal course of business, and I don't believe that it is at the very least, it's horrible timing given that we're in a shutdown. I get a lot of optics concerns, and I don't know if there's precedent for it. There doesn't seem to be. This is what amounts to criticism from the Republican Party. This is as close as they get. That's because Trump is an unbelievably petty person and remains unbelievably popular among the Republican base. His actions, including this one, have something like a 96% approval rating among Republicans. And so this is the strongest criticism that you can say of literally wiring yourself money. He's like, well, it's bad optics. Now, you might ask yourself, why? How can typical Republican voters be so blind? Well, I wanted to show you Fox News. This is the largest and most watched media outlet in the country. And I screenshotted this is at basically midnight on the day this story came out. And as you can see, the top story is calling it a Schumer shutdown, which, they say top Dem blocks 12th GOP bid to reopen government as Trump says Dems lost the negotiation. And then here's a hilarious story saying that healthcare premiums skyrocket because Ted Cruz totally said they would. The irony being, of course, this is Republican legislation that was spearheaded by Ted Cruz. But look, trans people, right, like defending this. But where's the $250 million Trump transfers to himself? Well, we both know that if Biden had done this, it would have been the front page of Fox News for 2 weeks straight. But look, it's nowhere. It literally doesn't appear. Despite being a level of corruption that is almost belongs in like the worst of like African or Central Asian dictatorships, literally he doesn't appear anywhere on the news. Look, you can see buried here is national debt surpassing 38 trillion for the first time in history. But that's it. That's it. It doesn't appear at all. At all. Despite Trump literally publicly acknowledging he's doing it. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, of course, you're going to approve of someone's job, the job they're doing, if you literally don't ever see the negative things they're doing. And that's part of it is the social media algorithmic world. But remember, Fox News isn't a social media algorithm. Everyone that tunes in sees the same homepage. This is editorial decisions by the largest news outlet by viewership in the entire country. Anyway, guys, join me on Combat Vet News. That's my version of Patreon if you want to ask me questions in my Q&As, or, of course, get access to uncensored combat footage, including stuff sent to me from units on the front lines that you guys have helped pay for their gear. So, you get to see your stuff in action. Thanks to Paul Wheeler, Michael Clean, Jeff Davies, Vance Sicarius, Thomas Anderson, Eugenia Cuesta. The link to Combat Vet News is in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.